If you are a job seeker, I know you've already heard the advice that you need to tailor each resume to every application for which you apply. But I also realize that sounds daunting at best and impossible at worst. So in practice, what does tailor your resume actually mean? Today we're going to break it down. If you're new to my channel, hi, I'm Kristen. I'm a former attorney and tech exec turned executive career coach. I help mid to senior level corporate women get promoted and transition into work they love. And that almost always starts with a resume. Okay, so the first thing that your resume does not need to contain is every single job that you have ever had. That means if you had a career transition, but a past role is important to an application that you're submitting today, you're going to want to include it. So by way of example, I started off in law and I worked in the US Senate as a policy advisor, and then I transitioned into legal sales and account management, and then into DEI, and then eventually into talent development and corporate workforce development. But if I were applying for a role today that asks for policy experience, I would absolutely include those former roles. While the rule of thumb is generally 10 to 15 years of your latest and greatest experience, if there is a role that does not fit, even though it's been within the last 10 years, I would not include that. Another option to the typical chronological resume is a skill-based resume, where you highlight the past roles that match the application exactly and leave off the chronological part. Number 2, make sure that you tailor your resume so that the language is an exact match for the role in which you are applying. Now, you do not need to deconstruct and rewrite your resume every single time you submit an application, but you do want to do a thorough scan and look for keywords and skills that match the job description, and then use the exact language that is in the job description. I know this might sound a little bit counterintuitive because it seems like you're cloning exactly what they're saying, but remember, you have to make it past the ATS, or the applicant tracking system, before you get to a recruiter and then before you get to a hiring manager. So if you haven't seen my video on how to make it past the ETS, I'm going to link that below. But in some, you're looking to match the exact words in the job description. And this goes for small things like professional experience and the soft skills that you bring as well. And not to beat a dead horse, but number 3, if you've seen any of my other videos, I suggest that you do not apply to many roles every single week, but you really want to hone in on those exact roles that match your skill set. So that's maybe 1 to 5 jobs, if you're lucky, a week, because it is such a tough market. When I speak to recruiters, they are getting thousands, not hundreds, but thousands of applications for every role they post. So if you don't think you're a 90% or greater match for any of the roles for which you're applying, I don't want you to waste your time. I'd rather that you spend your time networking. And if you haven't seen my video on how to find a job in a down market, I'm going to post that down below as well. Number 4, you want to emphasize not just what you did, but the impact that you had. And the best way to do this is not to leave it just to words, but to add numbers. So for example, I could write, grew sales leads through numerous social media ad campaigns. Or I could write, grew sales leads by 56% with 7 social media ad campaigns, which collected over 70,000 emails. See the difference? Here's another example. Quickly scaled new program, or scaled new program 10x from 200 to over 2,000 participants while maintaining net promoter score of 70+%. The numbers give it more weight, so if you have the metrics, use them. But I do understand that we don't always have the metrics. So sometimes this is intentional and sometimes it is not. A lot of times companies do have that data, but they don't share it with individual employees, because if you did understand the impact you made, you might go somewhere else, or you might demand a larger raise. But the first line of defense is to call former colleagues or your former boss, if you are in good standing, and just simply ask them. Even then, I have had private clients that could not ascertain this information, and if that is the case, here's what I do. I use the word approximately. Now, let me back up for a second, because you never, ever want to lie on your resume. There are investigators that fact check every detail, and it could cost you an offer if you lie on your resume. So again, never ever do it. But if you can make an educated guess as to the impact that you had, you can add the word approximately and then add the number. It's going to strengthen the resume and allow you a little wiggle room. So for example, increased favorability score by approximately 10%. grew new sales leads by approximately 30%. Guests don't lie, but this is a good way to hedge your bets. Number 5, write down those soft skills. So if a role calls for conflict resolution, mediation, building team synergy, anything such as that, I want you to write it down. By way of example, when I worked on Capitol Hill, I met with constituents and lobbyists, and we often disagreed. As a result, my resume says, met with constituents and lobbyists representing the senator and relaying her views. Position required strong mediation, negotiation, and conflict resolution skills. Yeah, it did. Merely saying met with lobbyists and constituents relaying the senator's position and views doesn't really capture the time an automotive lobbyist yelled at me over the climate change bill. Or the time some self-important gentleman came in attempting to intimidate me and making me feel small by using acronyms until I reached around behind me and grabbed the title of the code he mentioned to prove I knew exactly what he was talking about. But these are character strengths that are incredibly important, so add them in. Allow your resume to reflect your strength and your creativity and your brilliance, because you are all those things. Now, if you would like more help, I offer private coaching sessions, or if you're a self-starter, I also have a guide, and I'll link that below. But you can go to worklikeagirl.co/products. The resume guide provides multiple examples and breaks down the why for my suggestions, including power words, metrics, and chronological versus skill-based resumes. Did you like this video? If you did, I would love if you would like, share, and subscribe. My intention with this channel is to build a community of helpful, kind, corporate individuals so we can navigate this system together. I come out with new videos each week, and until then, take care.